A carriage arrived in the slums of Rougeau City. A wealthy couple stepped out of the carriage. I was sitting under a tree, enjoying the shade. The noblewoman hadn't even wiped away her tears, and leaned down to ask me, "Do you know if there's a girl named Xu Huan here? She's about 14 years old." I looked at her with confusion. As if casually scratching my head, I revealed my right arm, with that plum-shaped blue birthmark. The noblewoman saw the birthmark on my hand, and approached me as if seeing hope. "Huaner, do you remember your parents? You were lost as a child. It's all our fault for not watching you closely." I looked innocent, and told them what I had rehearsed thousands of times in my heart. I only remember going to the Lantern Festival as a child. There were so many people. I couldn't find my parents. My voice trembled with a hint of tears, which made their hearts ache. They hugged me tightly. "Huaner, it's my Huaner. You've suffered so much over the years. You've suffered so much over the years." I pushed the woman away, and hid behind the tree, looking warily at the couple. "How can you claim I'm your daughter? Before, people tricked me into looking for my parents, just to sell me off. If you're really my parents, where's the proof? Do you have anything from my childhood?" After hearing this, the couple's faces showed even more undeniable pain. The woman took a longevity lock from her sleeve, and handed it to me. I looked at the longevity lock with surprise. I took it and examined it carefully. Then my eyes filled with tears. I remember, this longevity lock was given to me by my grandmother. I lost it. I looked at them with tears streaming down my face. "Are you really my parents?" They hugged me again. I knew. They believed it. "My name is Aman. I'm an orphan. Orphans have no family name." The name Aman was given by the granny who found me, hoping my life would be complete. But fate didn't cooperate. I met Xu Huan, the person who ruined my life. I look somewhat like Xu Huan, but prettier than her. Living in the same slum, people naturally compared us. From then on, Xu Huan resented me. Later, Xu Huan's parents came. They also mistook me first, but I corrected them, and they found the real Xu Huan. Xu Huan pretended to be friendly and wanted to take me to her home, to be her personal maid, for a better life. I thought she was grateful that I helped her parents find her, but I didn't know this was the start of my miserable life. It started with minor punishments for trivial things. Then she began to slander me. Beatings, kneeling overnight were nothing. Later, she even had me flogged 80 times in the freezing snow, then thrown into the woodshed with no medical care. After I finally recovered from my injuries, she sent people to ruin my virtue. I was caught in the act by her. She sold me off to a secret brothel. The madam said all the humiliation and abuse I suffered was arranged and paid for by Xu Huan, telling me not to hate her even if I died. She couldn't disobey the future crown prince's consort. But then, fortune turned. I was reborn. Since heaven gave me this chance, I will repay everyone who wronged and humiliated me, with interest. After waking up in my new life, I spent all my savings to get a tattoo identical to Xu Huan's birthmark. Since I already bore some resemblance to her, why not just replace her entirely? Become the legitimate daughter of the general's manor, the rightful consort to the crown prince. I returned to the general's manor. Only this time, I came back as the manor's legitimate daughter. After returning to the manor, I was arranged to be tutored alongside my other sisters. Music, chess, calligraphy, painting, flower arranging, tea brewing, etiquette, needlework. All these things I could only gaze at from afar in my past life, now lay at my fingertips to command. Lady Xu bore one son and one daughter. The eldest son, Xu Xiuyu, oversaw the capital's defenses, and the missing daughter, Xu Huan. Her son was busy with official duties. Her daughter was lost. Alone in the manor, she could only focus on managing the household. Thus, the concubines in the household, and the children all got along harmoniously. But Xu Huan is domineering. After returning home, she threw her weight around as the legitimate daughter. She used up all the sympathy everyone had for her suffering after being lost as a child, leaving only annoyance. But I took the initiative to seek guidance. I couldn't write. I had my eldest sister teach me, hand over hand. I couldn't play the zither. I had my second sister teach me, hand over hand. My tea was mediocre, so I went to find my fourth sister. My mandarin ducks looked more like ducks, so I went to find my fifth sister. Gradually, the pity everyone felt for me turned into admiration, and I fully integrated into the Xu family, gaining the approval of Xu Huan's parents. Even my stern, unsmiling eldest brother became gentle and showed me favor, often fetching me fine paper, ink, and brushes. Later, Madame Xu began taking me to attend banquets and elegant gatherings of various court families. Everyone knew I had been lost outside. They expected me to be crude and vulgar. But outside, by Madame Xu's side, I made no mistakes, dignified and courteous, gradually earning their appreciation. For the 60th birthday of the Marquis of Hengyang's mother, the Xu family was also invited. That day, I dressed meticulously, because I knew the Crown Prince was also invited. In her past life, Xu Huan met Crown Prince Gu Mingfan at this very birthday banquet. It was love at first sight. After returning to the manor, she begged her father to propose the marriage. He scolded her for being absurd. Then she threw tantrums and made threats, finally securing the chance to become Crown Prince Gu Mingfan's consort. By that time, I had already been locked in the basement of a secret brothel, barely clinging to life. I gathered my thoughts, tied on the sachet I had carefully prepared, and went to the Marquis of Henyang's manor. After paying respects to the old lady, I excused myself, and slipped alone into the manor's back garden, because in her past life, Xu Huan got lost in the garden and met Guming Fan by the koi pond. Sure enough, Guming Fan was there, watching the fish. I rustled the flower bushes, catching Guming Fan's attention. "Sir, are you lost too?" I stepped forward and asked, treating him like any other young master attending the banquet, without a trace of fear. My question caught Guming Fan off guard. He paused for a moment, before realizing I didn't recognize him as the crown prince. And he, after looking for a while, couldn't place me either. "You are." "I am the third young lady of General Su's residence. I got separated from my maid earlier, and now I'm lost. Do you know the way back to the main hall, sir? If I'm gone too long, my mother will worry." Guming Fan hesitated slightly, but as he lowered his head, he caught a scent from me. "Do you smell something?" I took off my sachet, and held it in my palm for him to see. "This is a sachet I blended myself. Does it smell nice?" Guming Fan seemed lost in thought. Then, excited, he took a step toward me. "Third young lady, might you give this sachet to me?" I immediately stepped back and put the sachet away. Feigning shock, I refused. A sachet is a lady's personal item. How could I just give it away? "If you have business, sir, I'll find my own way back." With that, I made to leave, but Guming Fan grabbed my arm. I pushed his hand away, and retreated further. Guming Fan also knew his behavior was improper, and apologized immediately. "Please forgive me, third young lady. I was too rash. It's just, the scent of your sachet is very similar to the fragrance my late mother used to wear daily. She has passed away. To suddenly encounter this scent today, I was momentarily overwhelmed. I put the sachet away, looking at him with an understanding expression. "In that case, if you escort me to the main hall, I'll write down the recipe for the scent for you." Guming Fan looked as if he'd found a treasure. The crown prince himself bowed to me in thanks, and happily led the way. I followed behind him, a faint, undetectable smile on my face. In my past life, Xu Huan went to great lengths to please the crown prince. She searched high and low for the late empress's personal maid, and paid her 100 taels of gold for this scent recipe. Now, I'm using it to my advantage, to earn Guming Fan's favor. Even if Xu Huan returns in the future, she can forget about dreaming of becoming crown princess. Guming Fan led me to the main hall. Everyone who saw him immediately knelt and bowed. I stood there, frozen in shock. When Guming Fan looked back at me, my legs gave way and I knelt to pay my respects. "Greetings, your highness. I was disrespectful and have offended your highness. I beg for your highness's forgiveness. Ignorance is no sin. Third miss, please rise quickly." Guming Fan bent down to help me up. At first, I wanted to offer him my hand, but then I jolted awake as if startled, immediately dodged away and scrambled to my feet, hiding behind Mother Su. This was probably the first time Guming Fan had been rejected like this. He stood there, looking somewhat embarrassed. He seemed to want to say something to me but held back, as if wanting to ask for the recipe for the spices. But I hid behind Mother Su, not daring to meet his gaze. So he had no choice but to give up. On the way home, I asked Mother Su with a look of innocent concern. "Mother, did I cause trouble for the family?" I didn't recognize His Highness the Crown Prince, and even had him show me the way. Mother Su comforted me. "His Highness the Crown Prince is a very magnanimous man. He won't mind such things. And as Mother sees it, His Highness seems to have taken some notice of you." "Mother, don't tease me." I pretended to be annoyed, but inwardly, I was delighted. I want the position of Crown Princess. I certainly wouldn't announce it to the whole world with fanfare, like Xu Huan did. The capital is full of rules. A single misstep can make you a laughingstock. The Su family values face, and the imperial family values it even more. A forced marriage, how can it compare to a perfect match I craft? By skillfully leveraging affection and public opinion, to win the people's hearts. I used praying for my parents' blessings as an excuse, distributing porridge and silver in the east of the city on the 5th day of every month, on the 5th day of the 8th month, in my memories from my previous life. On this day, the Crown Prince returned from inspecting military affairs. He was attacked by the remnants of the previous dynasty, the Tiandao Society, and the refugee gathering area where the porridge station was set up was precisely these people's hiding place. Having long mingled among refugees, I could easily tell the genuine refugees from those hiding among them. Therefore, right from the start of the porridge distribution, I alerted the manor guards to keep an eye on those I found suspicious. When the Crown Prince entered from the east gate and saw my porridge stall, he dismounted and came over. "Third Miss Su, I hope you've been well." I handed the porridge ladle to the maid, who had come to respond, and out of the corner of my eye, I noticed someone in the crowd acting suspiciously. I reached into my sleeve and took out a copy of the spice list I had prepared earlier. "I never had a chance to give this spice list to your highness. I never expected that today, by chance, I would run into your highness here." Guming Fan was just about to take the list. Suddenly, a group of people in the crowd drew their swords and leaped toward Guming Fan to attack. But thanks to my early warning, my house guards reacted swiftly and parried the traitor's long blade. In an instant, the traitors, the house guards, and the Crown Prince's personal guards were all tangled in chaos. Refugees fled in all directions, and I quickly pulled Gu Mingfan to safety. But I was ambushed by a traitor hiding in the distance. Seeing his blade about to strike Gu Mingfan, I threw myself forward. The blade cut directly into me, and the pain was unbearable. Gu Mingfan took the chance to wrap an arm around my waist and pull me back a step. The man's second strike missed, and before he could raise his sword a third time, he was killed with a single thrust. Your humble servant arrived too late to protect you. Please forgive me, Crown Prince. It was Xu Xiuyu's voice. Unfortunately, I was in so much pain that I could only lie in Gu Mingfan's arms, gasping for breath. No need for formalities. Your sister was gravely injured, saving my life. Please, Commander Xu, take the third miss back to your estate immediately. I will send the imperial physician at once. I barely remember how I got back to the general's estate, but I knew that everything I had arranged was now public knowledge. Our first meeting at the Prince of Hengyang's estate, the Crown Prince's special treatment of me, and later, the beauty saving the hero at the city gate. All of it had become a popular tale in the capital, and I knew that this story wasn't just a popular tale in the capital. For saving the Crown Prince, I was injured, and the decree naming me the Ning'an County Princess arrived on the day of the Mid-Autumn Festival. All the neighbors and passers-by saw the palace herald, who entered the general's estate in a grand procession, and was later respectfully escorted back by the entire household. Just as everyone was about to return to the estate to celebrate, a disheveled woman ran up to the gates of the general's estate. She shouted that she was the true legitimate daughter of the Xu family, that she was Xu Huan. Father, Mother, look, I am Xu Huan. This person is a fake. She's an imposter. Look at my birthmark. Mentioning the birthmark, Madame Xu was the first to rush down and check. Seeing that birthmark, identical to the one on my arm, the exact same one, she froze. Looking closely at my face, which bears some resemblance to Xu Huan's, only made her more flustered. The crowd also looked at me with confusion, but I remained calm and composed. I walked over to Father Xu and whispered to him, Father, no matter who this woman is, causing such a scene at our doorstep right now is sure to damage the general's mansion's reputation. We should bring her inside first, and question her in private. Father Xu looked at the circle of outsiders watching the spectacle, and also felt it was inappropriate, so he nodded. Madam, bring her in. Xu Huan was cleaned up and brought to the main hall. The whole family was seated. Seeing me exuding an air of noble elegance, as if I were a born noble lady, Xu Huan was consumed with jealousy. She rushed over, ready to claw at me. You imposter! You stole my identity! You stole my parents! I am the real Xu Huan. But I wasn't about to just sit there and take it. Before she could reach me, I got up and hid behind Xu Xiuyu, and Xu Huan crashed headfirst into my chair. It made a loud thud, causing the concubines and their children to snicker quietly. Silence! Father Xu was furious at this scene, accustomed to my obedience and good sense, my grace and poise. Even if he was completely certain that this disheveled woman before him was his daughter, he was still half dead with anger. Xu Huan got up from the chair, knelt right there, and started wailing. Father, I am your real daughter. Look at the birthmark on my arm. She's just a low-born commoner. Her name is Aman, not Xu Huan. Xu Huan then turned to Mother Xu. Mother, look, don't you recognize your own daughter? See how much we look alike. Speaking of looks, naturally, Xu Huan resembled her parents more. But after all this time together, the Xu parents' hearts couldn't help but lean more towards me as their daughter. After exchanging glances, Mother Xu came up with an idea. How about a blood test to confirm parentage? To be continued. As soon as he said that, Xu Huan's eyes lit up. She shot me a triumphant glare, but I was hiding behind Xu Xiuyu, so her provocation was seen entirely by him. I didn't know what Xu Xiuyu was thinking, but I knew he was a man with a plan. As the future head of the Xu family, he would naturally protect its reputation. Father, please reconsider. I was just named County Princess. Exactly. I've just received royal favor. The wounds I got saving the Crown Prince aren't even fully healed. If it's discovered now that I'm not a Xu, wouldn't that be handing the favor to another family? The two seated at the head of the room were momentarily at a loss. This young lady resembles Huaner, and they share the same birthmark. It must be fate. Why don't you, father and mother, adopt her as a foster daughter? Enter her into the family registry. Then she'll be a daughter of our family too. Xu Xiuyu made the decision. Father and Mother Xu couldn't think of a better solution themselves, so it had to be this way. But Xu Huan was utterly unwilling. Why? I am the real Xu Huan. I'm father and mother's true daughter. She's the fake one. Why should the real daughter be a foster daughter? It's not fair. Although no one said anything out loud, I knew what they were all thinking. They were just reluctant to let go of the royal favor I carry, unwilling to see that honor go to another house. So they all kept silent. In the main hall, I knelt before Father and Mother Xu. I didn't break down crying or wailing. I just wept silently. Do you not want Huaner anymore? If you both feel that I am not your daughter, then just let me go. It's just my misfortune to look like the real Huaner, and to have the same birthmark. Back then in Ruzhou City, I thought I'd be alone and helpless for the rest of my life. No memories, no family. I could have starved to death on the streets any day, or been tricked into a brothel. But then, Mother came and spoke to me. I felt a closeness to her from the very first moment. I thought my parents had finally come for me. I tried to hold back, but I couldn't stop sobbing. Mother Xu immediately stood up and hugged me. She couldn't hold back her tears either. My dear daughter, how could I ever not want you? You are my daughter. You're not going anywhere. I hugged her back. Looking up, I saw Father Xu secretly wiping away a tear. I can't make them fully believe that I am their biological daughter, but what I can do is make them favor me as their daughter. After leaving the main room, I ran into Xu Xiuyu. He was standing in the long corridor, handsome and elegant, no less than Gu Mingfan. Were you waiting for me, brother? Xu Xiuyu turned to look at me. He said nothing. Deep down, you also think I'm not your real sister, don't you? After all, looks don't lie. I met his gaze calmly. Not a trace of panic in my heart. I don't know what Xu Xiuyu was thinking as we looked at each other, but before he left, he only said one thing. You are the legitimate daughter of the Xu family. No one can shake your position. I understand exactly what he meant. He didn't acknowledge me as his sister, but he acknowledged my status as the legitimate heir. He wants me to fulfill the duties and responsibilities that come with it. He can guarantee the stability of my position, but he can't guarantee any sibling affection. Good. I don't care about feelings anyway. Having been reborn, I only want revenge. To achieve my goal, the Xu family has two Xu Huans. The Xu family has taken in an adopted daughter, named Xu Yi. The adopted daughter is the real Xu Huan. These three rumors spread like wildfire in the capital. Even when the father and son from the Xu family went to court or on patrol, they were looked at differently. I sat in the deep mansion arranging flowers, in a pleasant mood. When Xu Huan abused me back then, not one of them, as heads of the family, stopped her. Now, enduring some gossip, is just a drop in the bucket. Get out of my way, Xu Huan. It must have been Xu Yi who suddenly appeared beside me, and kicked me off the chair with her foot. Take my flowers, throw them all over the floor. You're still putting on airs here, you little wench. You deserve to be thrown into a brothel and ridden by strangers, ridden by thousands. Xu Yi has been hanging around brothels since she was a child. She only knows how to curse with what she's heard and learned. I was thrown to the ground, banged my knee, but I'm not angry. The crazier she gets, the closer she is to death. If you want to sit here, sister, go ahead. I'll find another spot. A maid helped me to the back, to the seat originally prepared for Xu Yi, and Xu Yi, smugly, took my seat. She looked down her nose at the other sisters, the very picture of a petty upstart. My heart is filled with joy. Perfect. You're still as foolish as ever. Soon after, the instructing matron arrived. We stood to pay our respects, seeing the seat for the legitimate daughter, occupied by an outsider, an adopted daughter, while the noble lady just named, County Princess of Ning'an, was relegated to a corner, furious. This is the upbringing of the Xu family, mistreating the County Princess. How could you bear the consequences? Everyone kneels down. Only I and Xu Yi remain standing. I stand because, as the County Princess, I need not kowtow to a palace tutor. As for Xu Yi standing, is simply because she's gotten too full of herself. That wretch isn't even true Xu blood. Keeping her in the manor instead of throwing her out, is my own act of charity. How dare a mere servant like you mouth off here? Believe me, I'll have father throw you out. The tutor's face flushed crimson with anger. Her hand trembled as she pointed her round fan at Xu Yi, yet she maintained her composure. Very well. Someone, fetch the madam. Let's see if the madam will grant Miss Yi's wish, and have this servant thrown out. Seeing the situation escalate, my eldest sister turned to me for help. My fifth sister tugged my skirt, urging me to go and placate the tutor. Otherwise, if this matter today truly brings the madam here to judge, I fear everyone will suffer for it. I waited until the messenger had left, before stepping forward to soothe madam. Madam, you've seen everything in the inner palace. Please don't stoop to arguing with a child. My sister has been away for years, lacking proper upbringing. It's no surprise she speaks without thinking. With your careful guidance in the future, she's sure to become a proper young lady. Please, don't be angry. I eagerly offered her a cup of tea, smiling ingratiatingly. Only then did madam begin to calm down. But Xu Yi, hearing my words, flew into a rage. She rushed forward and kicked me in the side. The tea spilled on my hand and madam's dress. Before I could get up from the floor, she kicked me again. You bitch! How dare you say I lack upbringing? I'll kick you to death. Seeing this, the other sisters hurried over to pull Xu Yi away. Two of them shielded me in their arms. They scolded angrily. Xu Yi, how dare you raise a hand against your superior? Two other sisters who looked delicate, held on to Xu Yi tightly. Their personal maids witnessed this scene, but didn't dare to intervene. Some went to fetch the madam. Others went to find the concubines. Meanwhile, Xu Yi was like a mad dog about to break its leash, snarling and howling at us. I am the legitimate daughter. I am Xu Huan. I am the county princess. How dare you all? I leaned into my eldest sister's arms, crying from the pain. Xu Huan's kick had just reopened my wound. A sharp pain shot through my back. Little sister, why must you be so aggressive? Ever since you arrived, I don't even know if I'm truly of the Xu family bloodline. I thought, no matter what, I should try to make it up to you. Everything in your courtyard is of the same quality as mine. Today, I even gave up my seat for you. Our aunt is a noble lady from the palace. Her status is most esteemed. When you spoke so disrespectfully, I thought, with my own status as county princess, our aunt might spare me some face. I truly didn't mean to imply you were at fault. I cried, feeling utterly wronged. The blood on my back began to seep through. It stained a patch of my clothes. Oh, the blood. Second sister saw my back covered in blood. She gasped in shock. Just then, Madame Xu hurried over. Xu passed by and saw me in eldest sister's arms, crying in pain in her arms. Mother, third sister's wound has reopened. Second sister said anxiously. Quick, call for the imperial physician. I quickly stopped her. Enduring the pain, I tried to dissuade her. Mother, if we call for the imperial physician now, he's bound to ask how I got injured. If this gets out, it'll damage the reputation of the Xu family's women. Huana will be fine after resting in her room for a couple of days. Please don't worry, Mother. Madame Xu couldn't hide her heartache and relief. She gently touched my face, and had the maidservant escort me back. I staggered to my feet, and looked at Xu, who was glaring at me with hatred. I continued to persuade her. Please don't blame younger sister too harshly. It must be that I didn't do something right, and failed to satisfy her. As soon as I said this, Xu became agitated again. Harsh words filled the air. Seeing the mistress's face grow darker, she still didn't hold back. Finally, a slap rang out. Xu face bore the mark of her own mother's hand. She finally quieted down. I shook my head, frustrated by her lack of fight. Then, supported by a maid, I returned to my own courtyard. Mother and daughter were estranged before they could even grow close. I was truly in high spirits. Later, a maid came to report that Xu had been punished with family discipline, and made to kneel in the ancestral hall. The mistress also gave the instructing aunt a large sum of silver, ordering her not to speak of today's events. But how can paper contain fire? Especially since I was actively spreading it. Within a couple of days, rumors spread again in the capital about Xu's adopted daughter being arrogant and vicious, assaulting the county princess, overstepping her bounds. But then, somehow, as the rumors spread, the story of the wound reopening evolved into, Xu beat me so badly I couldn't care for myself. Seeing the public outcry grow louder, the general's estate, which had kept its doors tightly shut, could only, while the Xu family was in the eye of the storm, have the mistress take the family's children to the polo match hosted by Lady An Yuan Bo. Xu's mother even made a point of taking me around, so everyone could see that my limbs were intact, and I was in perfect health. Because of the gossip, Xu reputation had been completely ruined. Naturally, no one wanted anything to do with her. She could only sit alone on the stage, sulking. She glared at me resentfully as I mingled with the ladies and young misses from various families. The more effortlessly I handled it, the more her jealousy towards me grew. But I never expected that at today's polo match, Gu Mingfan would also be there. With just one distant glance, I knew he had come for me. I lowered my head, pretended to avoid him and slipped around to the back of the field. Gu Mingfan immediately followed, and all of this was seen by Xu, who had been watching me the whole time. She was thrilled, as if she had already caught me red-handed. I walked slowly, making it easy for Gu Mingfan to catch up. He approached with a smile on his face, but I kept my distance and bowed politely, then took 2 steps back. Third young miss, have you been well lately? Since the attack at the city gate, I've been busy hunting down the bandits. I haven't had a chance to visit and thank you. I also heard you were injured again at the estate. Your Highness, you should keep your distance from me. My lineage is unclear. I'm subject to criticism. If your Highness stays too close to me, it could tarnish your reputation. I still wore that timid expression. Tears welled up in my eyes, threatening to fall. I know you've been wronged. That's why I found a way to get the Xu family to open their doors and bring you out. I just wanted to tell you, whether you're a daughter of the Xu family or not, you are my savior, and you hold the dignity of a county princess. I was a bit surprised. So the increasingly outrageous gossip outside was actually spread by Gu Mingfan. He's more interesting than I originally imagined, and he cares about me more than I thought. Indeed, with this life-saving debt, I am treated more specially. Thank you for the reminder, Your Highness. I will certainly not give up on myself. Please go ahead, Your Highness. If people see us together, there might be gossip. Gu Mingfan seemed to have something left unsaid, but hesitated and decided not to say it. He went ahead to the court. When I reached the corner, only Xu remained, dumbstruck by Gu Mingfan. Xu Huan, having fun. Xu was startled. I looked at her antics with a half-smile, and when she realized it was me, she resumed her combative stance. Just wait. Someday I'll make everyone see your hypocritical true nature. I casually smoothed my hair, my tone sarcastic. Fine, then you better hurry up. The crown prince favors me. If I become the crown princess someday, you'll have no chance. The position of crown princess belongs to me. You, a lowborn, crawled out of some mud pit, still dreaming of marrying the crown prince? Dream on. Xu gave me a hard shove. Then she stormed off in a huff. I watched her walk away, and suddenly felt she was pitifully foolish. She wasn't fighting me for power or status, just for pride. Compared to her previous life, the current her is incredibly kind. Too bad, I'm no saint myself. An eye for an eye, that's true justice. Back at the manor, Xu, as expected, started begging our parents to arrange a marriage with Gu Mingfan. Forget her status as an adopted daughter for a moment. Just based on the affection the Xu parents have for her now, they wouldn't grant such an absurd request. When her pleas failed, Xu started forcing our parents by starving herself and threatening suicide. When Xu Xiu heard about it, he had her tied up with cloth. He said she'd only be released when she stopped acting crazy. Meanwhile, I behaved properly as the county princess. Of course, I wouldn't deliberately send gossipy servants to guard her, nor would I use their mouths to reveal that Gu Mingfan would go on the 8th day of the 9th month to Qianfu Temple to hold a prayer ceremony for the late empress, and I certainly wouldn't let them find out that some family's daughter married into a noble house because she was pregnant before the wedding. But sure enough, once this news reached Su Yi's ears, she quieted down. She stopped demanding an arranged marriage, and she stopped threatening to kill herself. She even said she wanted to go to Qianfu Temple to burn incense and pray for her parents. I took the opportunity while paying my respects at the Grand Princess's residence to ask the Grand Princess to pass along a sachet I made to Gu Mingfan as a thank you for his advice at the polo match that day. Inside the sachet, besides the medicinal herbs, I also left a note. Using the attack at the city gate that day as a pretext, I warned him. People, objects, food, incense. He must be cautious about everything. On the 8th day of the 9th month, Su Yi was in high spirits and headed to Qianfu Temple. I simply said I wanted to go out for a stroll and followed in the direction of Qianfu Temple. I waited in a tea house overlooking the city gate until dusk began to fall. I saw Gu Mingfan and his men returning from outside the city. The Su family carriage trailed at the end. They didn't go back to the Su residence. Instead, they followed directly into the Eastern Palace. I timed my return to the general's residence. Just then, the Su father and son were summoned to the palace. They both looked grim. I respectfully bowed and bid them farewell. Everyone in the general's residence was restless. Only I remained calm and composed. Night fell. Finally, the two returned, looking pale as ghosts. But Su Yi wasn't with them. Everyone understood after hearing the Su father and son's account. Su Yi had drugged Gu Mingfan. She was caught on the spot. Recently, the Tian Dao Society has been causing trouble. Gu Mingfan suspected Su Yi was a spy sent into the capital by the Tian Dao Society. But considering her status as the Su family's adopted daughter, he could only take her to the Eastern Palace for a secret interrogation. The interrogation revealed that Su Yi admitted to being a spy. She confessed to impersonating the Su family's lost daughter to gain trust. She even signed and sealed the confession herself, and submitted it to Gu Mingfan. Gu Mingfan presented the testimony to the emperor. The emperor was furious. He berated them for their poor judgment, and even allowed a spy into the Su family registry. Su Xiuyu was demoted from commander to deputy commander of the patrol and defense battalion. Su's father was also demoted half a rank. I breathed a sigh of relief. I originally just thought Su Yi would pull this stunt. No matter her reasons, she was bound to face consequences. At worst, she'd be held accountable, and the Su father and son's reputations would also suffer because of her. But I never expected such a huge surprise. The emperor and the crown prince seized this opportunity to suppress the Su family, and Su Yi, a traitor and rebel, would naturally face the death penalty. Inside the imperial prison, I brought clothes and pastries to visit Su Yi. I saw her sitting in the corner. Her clothes and hair were not disheveled. Apart from missing her hairpins, she looked no different than when she was a young lady in the general's manor. What are you doing here? Now I'm in the imperial prison. Are you satisfied? Su Yi saw me, still wearing that fearless expression, as if she wasn't afraid of having her head chopped off at all. I sensed something was off, and quickly composed myself. I placed the food box and clothes inside. You conspired with the crown prince, and got your own father and brother killed. Su Yi approached, completely unfazed, and kicked aside the things I brought. Through the bars, she still wore that expression I despise. Not only that, the crown prince knows your true identity. He'll cast you aside soon. And you? Didn't you want to reclaim your identity as Xu Huan? Giving up on that now? At that, Su Yi's eyes indeed turned murderous. The next instant, she reached out and grabbed my shoulder, pulling me forward. I took the chance to pull out a gold hairpin from my hair, and tossed it into the cell. If it weren't for you, I would have returned to the capital long ago. Just you wait. I will kill you. Su Yi's hand clamped around my neck, but I didn't struggle. The crown prince has long known about my origins. Why would he need you to tattle? Now, you're a spy for the Heavenly Path Society, and have nothing to do with the Su family, while I am Xu Huan, the one and only Xu Huan. Do you really think His Highness the Crown Prince is helping you? Su Yi heard my words, and froze in place, her grip loosening. I seized the chance to pull away, lest she actually strangle me. If you escaped, you might have a sliver of hope, but trapped in this cage, you're like a rat in the gutter. With that, I left. I grew up in the slums, so picking locks was a skill everyone picked up. If Su Yi gets the idea to run, she'll be delivering herself straight to the gates of hell. Outside the imperial prison, the crown prince was dismounting his horse. I stood waiting for him. What I told Su Yi earlier, that the crown prince had her imprisoned to help me, was just a lie I made up to provoke her. How could a mere woman like me be more important than affairs of state? But watching him walk towards me, a sliver of hope flickered in my heart. When he condemned Su Yi, was any part of it for my sake? Greetings, Your Highness. Third Miss. What brings you here? I tried to read Gu Mingfan's face, to see his purpose for coming here, but all I saw was a grinning fool. He came to see Su Yi. After all, we were sisters once. I touched my hair bun, and feigned shock. My hairpin is gone. It must have fallen inside the prison. I'll have my men search for it. Then a guard reported that Su Yi's cell door was unlocked, and she was gone. Gu Mingfan immediately led a search. I stood at the prison's main gate, listening to the commotion inside. It was like a death march I composed for Su Yi. Amid the guards' shouts, Su Yi found the main gate, but they caught up to her. Su Yi wildly swung the golden hairpin, but couldn't break free. I couldn't hear her words, but I could see her cursing me, calling me a traitor, vowing to kill me. A guard thrust his spear through her body. In my eyes, she dissolved into a blur of blood. Yes, a death like this suits you. Gu Mingfan escorted me back to the Su residence. I didn't refuse. We sat facing each other in the carriage. He had questions for me. Before he could even ask, I answered them. I know your highness came to the prison to kill Su Yi. No, the real Xu Huan. Simply letting her die peacefully would be too merciful. You presume to guess my intentions. Aren't you afraid I'll charge you with disrespect? Was I wrong? Wasn't it your highness who convinced Xu Huan to admit she was a spy, to suppress the Su family, and then came personally to silence her? I am the crown prince. Why would I need to come personally to end someone's life? Could it be the crown prince came for me? I was stunned. Gu Mingfan's gaze was deadly serious. He really did come for me. So you know everything. My true identity. My desire to kill Xu Huan. Gu Mingfan nodded. He saw through me from our first meeting at the Marquis of Hengyang's estate, that I wasn't as innocent as I appeared. And later, when we met at the city gate, the Tiandao Society is causing trouble. I risked my life to save him, because I reacted too quickly. He began to suspect my true identity. He sent someone to Ruzhou to investigate my past. Only then did he feel at ease. Later, I was granted the title of county mistress, the real and fake Xu Huan. He realized he could use this to pressure the Su family, so he held a polo match to see me, to give me confidence, to keep turning the Su family upside down. He never expected I would directly deliver Xu Huan into his hands. In return, besides dealing with Xu Huan, he removed any future worries for me. But all I wanted, truly worthy of your highness, the crown prince. I schemed for so long. Although my great vengeance is fulfilled, I've merely paved the way for his success. So what are your highness's plans now? To silence me. Will you have me killed too? If the third young lady and I were one family, naturally, there would be no need for silencing. I smiled without a word. The crown prince himself, actually forcing a marriage proposal. 3 months later, an imperial decree of marriage arrived at the general's manor. The following spring, the daughter of the Grand General married into the Eastern Palace. As crown princess, the late spring breeze carried the fragrance of crabapple blossoms from the imperial garden, through halls and courtyards, brushing past the carved window lattice of Jingren Palace in the Eastern Palace. I sat by the window, a silver needle between my fingertips, embroidering intertwining lotus patterns on plain white silk. The hall was quiet, only the soft sounds of palace maids adding charcoal. Since marrying into the Eastern Palace, I had been crown princess for 3 months. Everyone in the capital said I was blessed. From a lone girl wandering among commoners, to the future queen of the nation. Only I knew, this blessing was bought with my life. Faint footsteps sounded outside the door. It was Crown Prince Gu Mingfan. I set down the needlework, rose to greet him. My skirt swept across the floor, carrying a faint, fragrant breeze. It was a fragrance I blended myself, the favorite scent of the late empress, and also a key to controlling Gu Mingfan. My beloved consort seems quite leisurely today. Gu Mingfan reached out to help me up. His fingertips brushed against my wrist, carrying a hint of coolness. His gaze fell on my embroidery, which was only half finished. This intertwined lotus is well done, even more elegant than the palace embroiderer's work. I lowered my eyes with a faint smile, and handed the embroidery hoop to him. You flatter me, your highness. It's just something to pass the time. Gu Mingfan took the hoop, but his eyes weren't on the embroidery. Instead, he fixed his gaze on me. The day before yesterday, the Court of Judicial Review submitted a memorial. It said remnants of the Heaven's Way Society are still at large. Are you aware? My heart stirred slightly. The Heaven's Way Society. That name is like a thorn. That's been lodged in my heart for years. In my past life, after Xu Huan sold me to the brothel, I saw a few members of the Heaven's Way Society meeting there. They were ruthless in their actions, and their methods were strange. In this life, Su Yi was framed as a spy. Although it was a scheme Gu Mingfan and I devised together, the Heaven's Way Society truly is hiding in the shadows. It's a hidden danger. This consort knows a little about it. I stopped smiling, my tone calm. In my previous life, when I was in the slums of Ruzhou, I saw some suspicious people. They all wore black jade plaques on their waists, engraved with the words Tiandao. Gu Mingfan's eyes flashed with surprise. Then he said in a low voice, just as I thought. Yesterday, the East Palace guards caught a sneaky eunuch. The waist plaque found on him was made of black jade. He confessed. He was there to spy on the East Palace's defenses, seeking an opportunity for the remnants, to take revenge for Su Yi. I picked up the teacup on the table, my fingers tracing the patterns on its surface. Su Yi died outside the prison, shot multiple times. It was a gruesome death. The Tiandao Society believes I'm responsible for her death, so they must be coming for revenge. Your Highness, how do you plan to handle this? I looked up at him, not a trace of fear in my eyes. Gu Mingfan let out a light laugh, reached out to hold my waist, and pulled me into his arms. My crown princess, I will naturally protect you, but I'd like to hear, What ideas do you have, my dear? I leaned into his embrace. The scent of ambergris from him filled my nostrils, but my mind was crystal clear. Gu Mingfan is no pushover. He used me to suppress the Su family, and took advantage of Su Yi's case to eliminate the threats from the Tiandao Hui. Now, he just wants to see if I still have any use. I do have an idea. I looked up at him. A faint smile played on my lips. Since the Tiandao Hui members know Su Yi, they must also know about her birthmark. I can disguise myself as Su Yi to lure them out. Gu Mingfan's hand paused slightly. He looked down at me. Aren't you afraid of danger? What I fear is not danger. I met his gaze, my tone calm. What I fear is that as long as these remnants remain, the Eastern Palace will never be at peace. Your Highness bears the weight of the nation. How can you be distracted by these petty villains? Gu Mingfan stared at me for a long time. He suddenly let out a low chuckle. There was a note of approval in his voice. What a noble and righteous crown princess. I knew I wasn't wrong about you. I lowered my eyes. I hid the cold glint in my eyes. Noble and righteous. I just wanted to cut the weeds and pull out the roots. To prevent any future trouble, that's all. 3 days later, news spread in the capital. The crown princess caught a slight cold, and secluded herself indoors. As for me, I changed into coarse clothing. I smeared some mud on my face. I also had the imperial physician fetch some medicine, to darken the plum blossom birthmark on my arm. I disguised myself as Su Yi. I hid in a dilapidated temple on the outskirts of the city. This temple was a rendezvous point for the Heavenly Way Society in my previous life. I remembered it clearly. Night fell. Footsteps approached from outside the temple. I held my breath, and hid behind the statue of Buddha. I peered through a crack. I saw 3 men in black enter, each wearing a black jade token at their waist. Where is everyone? They said Su Yi wasn't dead, and was hiding here. The leader of the group asked gruffly. I lowered my voice, imitating Su Yi's tone, and cried out sharply, I'm here. The 3 men looked toward the sound. They saw the birthmark on my arm, and their eyes lit up with joy. The leader stepped forward. Miss Su, we finally found you. That bitch, the crown princess, has done you wrong. We'll take you to get revenge. I sneered inwardly, but on the surface, I put on an excited look. Thank you, brave men. I've wanted to kill that bitch for a long time. She stole my identity, and took my place as crown princess. I'll tear her to pieces. Just then, from outside the ruined temple came the sound of orderly footsteps. The glow of torches lit up the night sky. Gu Mingfan led the Eastern Palace guards, and surrounded the ruined temple completely. Remnants of the Heavenly Way Society, surrender now. Gu Mingfan's voice was commanding, and echoed through the night air. The 3 men in black paled. They turned to flee, but the guards had already set a trap. There was no escape. In mere moments, the 3 were subdued. I tore off my disguise, and approached Gu Mingfan. Moonlight fell on my face, revealing the smile in my eyes. Your Highness, your servant has fulfilled her duty. Gu Mingfan looked at me, his eyes full of warmth. He gently wiped the dirt from my face. You've worked hard, my love. The guards took the 3 conspirators away, leaving just Gu Mingfan and me in the ruined temple. The night breeze blew through the broken window, carrying a chill. Were you so certain they would take the bait? Gu Mingfan suddenly asked. I chuckled. Su Yi is flamboyant, and harbors a deep hatred for me. The Heavenly Dao Society only knows her as the Su family's legitimate daughter, not realizing she's utterly foolish. They think I'm dead. They'll surely try to use Su Yi's name to stir up trouble in the capital. Gu Mingfan was silent for a moment. Then he suddenly asked, do you have no affection for the Su family at all? I was taken aback. I looked up at him. In the moonlight, his face was handsome, but his eyes were inscrutable. Affection. I repeated the word softly. A self-mocking smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. Your Highness, do you think the Zus are worthy? In my past life, Xu Huan tormented me relentlessly. Did anyone in the Su family ever speak a single word in my defense? In this life, I took Xu Huan's place as the legitimate daughter. They treated me well, only because I could bring glory to the Su family. Now, Father Su has been demoted, and Su Xiuyu has been stripped of his rank. The way they look at me has long lost its former warmth. I paused, then looked at Gu Mingfan. My tone was calm. In this lifetime, I trust only myself, and you, Your Highness, because Your Highness and I are the same, both ruthless and cunning people. Gu Mingfan heard this, but instead of getting angry, he chuckled softly. He reached out and pulled me into his embrace, his chin resting on the top of my head. His voice was low and gentle. Well said. My crown princess should be exactly like this. My heart was utterly calm. In my past life. In this life, I am Xu Huan, the crown princess who holds power. Those who deceived and humiliated me have already paid the price. Su Yi is dead. The remnants of the Heavenly Way Society have been eliminated, and the Su family has no chance of recovery. In the days to come, I will accompany Gu Mingfan as he ascends step by step to the pinnacle of power. I will become the empress, the most revered woman in the great Zhou dynasty. No one will ever be able to humiliate me again. When we returned to the Eastern Palace, the sky was already beginning to lighten. A palace maid brought hot water, to help me wash and dress. The bronze mirror reflected a face of exquisite beauty, with a touch of coolness and sharpness in the eyes. This is the real me, not Aman, struggling to survive in the slums, nor Xu Huan, pretending to be obedient in the general's manner, but the crown princess who holds her fate and plots every step carefully. Gu Mingfan sat nearby, watching me do my makeup. He suddenly spoke. In a few days, His Majesty will host a banquet for all the officials. You will attend with me. I picked up a golden hairpin and placed it in my hair. Then I turned to look at him, smiling gently. As you command. Sunlight filtered through the window lattice, spilling into the hall, warm and cozy. I know that my era has only just begun.